Conversation with Bob Pollock, brought to you by Marcus and Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Bob, of course, appears with us on Fridays at 7:45, and we're not going to let him off the hook for that just because he's doing this with us now. But we want to talk specifically about the spotted lanternfly. It's in the news again, and not for a good reason. Bob, good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to have you with us here today. The Penn State Extension is now a key player in the monitoring of the spotted lanternfly, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's one of the organizations that's helping keep track of things, definitely, and doing research as well on just how this insect functions and what are the potential control measures we have to deal with it as it continues to spread around.
Mm-hmm. It is a nasty-looking thing. One of the things that strikes me about it, though, is at various stages of its life, it's got all kinds of different appearances. And you could be looking at a spotted lanternfly and not even recognize it as such. It's not like a housefly or some other bug that always looks the same. This thing morphs, doesn't it?
It sure does. So it starts out as eggs. Those eggs hatch into a life stage we call nymphs, and those nymphs actually molt, so they change, they grow in size a little bit, and they also change in their coloration. So the young nymphs are pretty much black in color with all these white dots all over their body, and they crawl around, and then as those age and mature, then they will take on different colorization and actually add a lot of red into their body color. Still keep the black, still keep the white spots, but they look a lot more red and probably are more noticeable as they develop and age. Mm-hmm. And then we go from the nymphs to the adult stage, which is a moth, and it's a very colorful moth, and it maintains those spots, and I'm sure that's the person that named this insect, the spotted lanternfly, did so because of the black. Actually, the adult has black dots on its body. So you get some browns, some beige color, you get some black, also red, and a little bit of yellow on the adult moths. So they're very colorful as well.
Yeah, it's amazing to me. They're kind of, well, they're pretty bugs.
Yeah, they are. They really are.
But
they can be very destructive as well.
Exactly. That masks their destructiveness, and that's what we want to focus upon. What is the effect of a spotted lanternfly? Do they attack a certain type of tree? Do they eat the foliage? Do they get into the bark? What happens when a lanternfly is around?
So they stick their mouth parts. They feed on sap. So they have to they have strong mouth parts which they can stick into the branches of plants and suck the sap out. And so, of course, that sap is food for them, and it's a sugary substance. So they process that through their body, and what they don't use gets spit out the other end, and then that still has sugars in it, though. So that's part of what happens after the effect. But that feeding on the sap, if there were just a few of them around, there's other insects that feed on sap, such as mites and other insects and arachnids that we have around. But because of the quantities, just the mass amounts of these, you can have your plant completely almost encased in these creatures, sucking sap out of the plant. Mm-hmm. So that weakens the plant, stresses it, and then when you have all this sugar laying all over the leaves and the plants, and it gets to the point where it drips, then we get black sooty mold that can grow on that sugar. So all these different surfaces, from your house to your patio, decks, cars, all that stuff, anywhere the sap falls, if it's left there, then you can get black sooty mold growing on that, so everything turns dark, almost like coal black. And so that's a secondary effect. Of course, that can be cleaned up and everything, but still, it's a great nuisance. And it's actually in the counties to the east where it's been a problem for several years now. I mean, people can't even go out in their yards. There's so many of them, and all the sap dripping and the effects of that. And then, so tree of heaven is one of the trees. Of course, that's an invasive species that's been around, for hundreds of years. It was brought into, I think, originally to Philadelphia to use as a street tree, and then it's just spread from there. So it was brought in to do a good thing, and and it probably did some of those good things, but then also it's able to propagate itself and spread more so than we'd like to have it. And it's all around our area here. Once you learn to identify it, you'll start to see it, and you can see it everywhere. And a lot of times it's growing along the roadsides, the edges of woods, abandoned areas, all those sorts of places, because it's fairly prolific and it doesn't need a lot of resources to grow. And it can get 70, 80 feet tall when it's mature, and it tends to grow in patches. But once you learn to identify it, the bark kind of stands out. So once you learn to identify that, and then when you look at the leaf structure, you can pick them out. Sometimes one plant that can get confused with it is one of our native species that grows but never gets as big or prolific as that. Sumac. So the leaf structure looks a lot like sumac, but there's some minute differences at the base of the leaf that as soon as you see that, you can tell the difference between the two. But anyhow, this particular insect is very much attracted to those tree of heaven. And then another thing that it really likes a lot are grapevines.
Oh, yeah?
So anybody that has a grapevine in their backyard, that actually, between tree of heaven and grapes, those are two key plants that you can really kind of observe, because if and when we find it around here, those are going to be probably two of the plants where we'll find it first.
I'm looking at the map that the state put out. The lanternfly now, spotted lanternfly, has been found in 26 counties, most of them to the east, but as far west as Blair County, and actually it gets to Blair County, skips over a couple of counties, Clearfield and Indiana, Westmoreland, but then it's in Allegheny and it's in Beaver County. So the spotted lanternfly is out there. I was reading earlier this week a report about what to do with it, how to trap it, and the warning was against those sticky traps around the bark of trees. What does that do? Because what they were saying was it also gets the insects that you want, and it can even get birds.
Yes, that's one of the downsides. Those traps can work. They're just a sticky band, so they're a piece of tape that you can wrap around the trunk of a tree. They tend to work best early in the season on those young nymphs, because they will hatch from the egg masses that many times are laid on bark. But the other thing is they can lay them anywhere. They can lay them on your vehicle. They can put them on, the sides of a train car. Any kind of moving vehicle like that, campers. So those are some of the reasons that we humans can easily spread this around, is when the adults get into the egg-laying stage, which will be coming later this month into October, is when these adult moths will be laying egg masses. Mm-hmm. Right now we have the later instar nymphs and the adults that are really active now. And of course, they can hitch a ride too, on vehicles. So when you're traveling into those areas and then coming back to Indiana County, you're supposed to do an inspection of your vehicle and look things over to make sure that you don't have any hitchhikers to ride back with you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's some of the key things we can do now. And again, those sticky traps can work. Once you have them, once you know you have them, then you can protect individual trees and things with those. But again, it works best earlier in the season, and then a downside to them is, they're sticky, so they can attract other insects, which may or may not be beneficial, and then they can also maybe catch some other things unknowingly that we're not trying to catch, such as birds and maybe a squirrel or two. So we just need to recognize that it's not a perfect method, but it can be effective as well.
Yeah. Okay. We're talking with Bob Pollock about the spotted lanternfly. So to help out, just a couple of moments left, to help out in the battle to eradicate this thing, we don't want it to get to the stage like the emerald ash borer did, and it destroyed so many ash trees and brought down those trees in our forests. They're still trying to recover from that. What do? We kill the thing. We try to find nests. What happens when we see one?
Right. If you see one, especially here, because it hasn't been officially identified here yet, they have a hotline. It's 1-888-4, the number 4 bad fly. So 1-888-4-BAD-FLY is the number to call and to report sightings. So that's one of the key things, especially now in our area when it has not been identified here yet. If you think you have it, report it. You can always catch it, take a picture of it, report it. You can, if you're not sure, you can drop off samples here at the office, so we can take a look at it too. And then from there, once, or if you have family or something that lives in that area, they may be talk with them too, because they may be more in tune to it already. They've seen it. They know what the effects of it are. As we move, if it gets here, not allowing, or if you go into that area and back here, make sure that you inspect your vehicle and all that. Commercial businesses that have to travel back and forth are supposed to have permits to go into areas that are already quarantined. So there's a process that you go through to do that and get permitted. And it's supposed to be, then marked on each of your vehicles that you are permitted to go in, and the procedures to go through the checklist and everything when you go in and before you come out. So those are things you can definitely do right now to help minimize the spread any more than it already has.
All right. Bob Pollock has been kind enough to join us today. We'll talk with you tomorrow morning, Bob. Thanks for being with us today.
You're quite welcome.
Have a great day.
All right. Bye-bye.
It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160. FM and AM 1160. FM.